Bubble, you can't say that.
The Amazing Digital Circus is back, coming crashing down Candy Road. Oh, this is the Mad Max sequel that we've all been waiting for. Wait, really? It is?
What's your name, by the way?
Gummy Gay.
The darkest of angels. The question is, do you have it in you to make it epic?
Oh, looks like one of these guys made it through.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Indeed it is! But that is not the most important part of this episode of The Amazing Digital Circus. In fact, this episode is chock full with some amazing character development that I did not expect us to get until much later on in the series. Wow, I had the rug pulled out from under me. And not just because of everything that happened with Gummy Goo. Rest in peace, good Gummy Goo. Hopefully you get brought back in a later episode, even though you may not have your memory. There's some theory crafting to be done right there. But, wow, the things that happen for Pomni, that is the heart of this episode. From beginning, middle to end, she goes on a journey of self-discovery that I did not expect that we would get until maybe halfway to 2/3 through the season. And so really for me as a writer, this opens up all new doors and windows of possibility. So to help me explain that, let's go over, in real brief, the events of this episode, break them down, and show why this is some phenomenal writing. The episode opens with Pomni experiencing a horrible nightmare of herself abstracting and being thrown into the abyss. She has seen this happen to Kaufmo, and in this prison, in this living hell of the digital circus, where it just seems as if you exist to suffer, there is something worse than just simply going around on Kane's games. It is completely losing yourself. And Pomni, as we saw in the pilot episode, it was already so close to abstracting. And some of the other characters kept bringing it up, like, Pomni, it looks like you're abstracting. And she herself, after getting hit by Kaufmo, had the weird glitch going on up her arm. And so in this nightmare, she's got the glitch. She's beginning to abstract. She is thrown into the abyss. And the people with whom she had begun to form probably the closest relationships in the previous episode are shunning her. They're forgetting her. They are turning their backs on her as she falls into despair. And then she wakes up, and we get once again just the glitchiness of the Amazing Digital Circus, which is important because as she hits one of the blocks, she gets rocketed up, foreshadowing for later.
Maybe some kind of glitch with the truck's collisions. I'm not really sure how we could. But let's see how it goes. I just realized this might be a little violent.
There's then a knock at the door, and it is Ragatha. And oh boy, it is time for us to confront all of the awkwardness and shame from the previous episode, where Pomni very literally abandoned the one person who's probably trying to be the nicest to her by going for the exit door. And Ragatha, bless her soul, brings that up, which is probably not the best thing to do to really form a good positive relationship going forward with Pomni, but she does it anyway. We're just going to lay out all our cards right here, and Ragatha is willing to let bygones be bygones, but Pomni is nowhere near the proper healthy mental state to process any of that and to let bygones be bygones. It is clearly destroying her on the inside. But even worse, though she feels bad for it, she's unable to really do anything about it because what does it matter? She's imprisoned. She's in this horrible place from which there is no escape. This is her life from now on, going slowly insane. And if you go insane, there's something even worse waiting for you. So what does apologizing for betraying someone even mean? So imagine that dichotomy just eating you up from the inside. That's happening to Pomni. Now, I will point out something kind of interesting, is that in her room, there's a bunch of little blocks, little letter blocks, the stuff that we played with as kids. And off to the side, it seems as though there is still, yet again, an exit. No, not an exit door, but the X and the T very close together. I was like, that is purposeful right here. Because still, within Pomni's heart of hearts, she wants to find an exit. Her journey is to escape the Amazing Digital Circus. How is she going to do it? Well, the exit has been stripped away from her in the previous episode. There's no exit for her in this one. It seems as though the exit just is missing. We're missing the E and the I. But there is, however, an exit for Pomni if she just happens to move forward. This is really subtle, I believe. Sure, this could just be pure coincidence or it could be a red herring, but I do believe that this is a fun visual clue and cue to us that if Pomni just keeps moving forward, perhaps there is indeed an exit to be had, and while she might not be able to see what that is, it's not entirely clear. In this episode, Pomni is able to at least escape part of her nightmare. But moving on, shenanigans in the Amazing Digital Circus continue, and Caine has an all-new adventure for them to go on.
Today's adventure is Candy Carrier Chaos! That's right, the Candy Canyon Kingdom's been robbed of their most valuable resource, maple syrup! It's up to you to bring the rotten bandits who stole it to sweet, buttery justice!
An entire kingdom of candy sounds sticky.
Once more, Zooble decides to peace out, and Caine forcibly shoves everyone else into this sweet, sticky, lovely Mad Max Fury Road kind of world, which, yeah, you have to ask, what time frame are we in? Are we in ancient times? Are we in modern times? Are we in a post-apocalypse? Who knows what we're in? All we know is that we are in delicious Candyland. When Pomni and the others arrive at the Candy Kingdom, we learn how Caine, whether he intends it or not, is effectively god of this entire realm, a god bound by strange rules, but all of the NPCs view him, rightfully so, as their god, as we will see later.
So this is the circus, huh? I gotta get used to this.
Oh, looks like one of these guys made it through!
Wait, what?
The heroes are given their quest to go and save an entire tanker of sweet maple syrup and bring it back to the kingdom and bring the ruffians who stole the maple syrup to justice. So they get into this fantastic honker truck, which is meant to go to war. However, though Jax is full-on prepared to bring some violence to people, the horn really sucks. And so, he forces Gangle to drive. As they drive on out, they encounter the bandits. The chase begins. We get the full Fury Road experience with all of the amazing jokes and gags and horror that one would expect of a spoof of the Mad Max franchise. Ah, parody. You gotta love it. Taking something that people should know very well and then just kind of turning it on its head or slapping a whole bright new coat of paint on it. Well, this hectic chase ends kind of bizarrely because Pomni and Gummigoo, the leader of the bandits, end up getting thrown to the bottom of the map while the rest of the heroes get thrown into the fudge pit with the fudge.
I used to live within the kingdom walls, but I was banished by that rotten princess after I ate too many of the delicious townfolk. Oh, they were so delicious. Sometimes I can hear them calling to me.
And this horrifying monstrosity is right out of Raggedy Ann and Andy, which if you haven't seen that yet, allow me to terrify you with the Taffy Monster.
What's that? Do my eyes deceive me? What's that? Excuse me, not candy? How am I expected to eat something that's not made of candy? And I never get enough to eat.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that's silly. With all this stuff around?
No, it isn't. Oh, I'm not. If you knew what I did in my free time, oh, you'd be sickened. You can give me candy, cotton candy, chocolate bar, or lollipop. It's her heart now, but soon it will be mine.
Oh, God. That just sounds like murder.
Is it really murder if it's delicious?
So while Jax and the Fudge are contemplating mass murder, Pomni and Gummy Goo are experiencing, again, a really true existential crisis. At least Pomni is experiencing it again. Gummy Goo's experiencing it for the first time, where he comes across the icons of not only himself, but of everyone else. And he quickly realizes, that's me. That's the boys. And the people of the Candy Kingdom, and there's the vehicles. But where's my mom? And where's everything else that I should know? Do I even know it? And then begins to realize I don't even remember my mother's face. I actually don't remember much of my story. I've only know what the programmer, what Cain, the god, has given me. I am just an obstacle for other people to mull and bowl over on their way to a happy ending. I am merely a distraction. I don't matter in the grand scheme of the universe. Welcome, Gummy Goo, to that feeling that most people have when they stare up at the stars and really begin to ask themselves the hard questions of, what is the meaning of life? Do I even matter? I live on a speck of dirt in the middle of a massive universe that we don't even fully understand the rules of, a massive universe that if it wasn't for just some things floating around in our solar system like the gas giants on our own moon, asteroids would have pummeled our little Earth into smithereens billions of years ago. Wow! What does my life even matter? Do I even have a purpose? What does it matter at all? That's what Gummy Goo is experiencing. And this is where a lot of people have had some problems with this particular episode. And it's not just Jax wanting to commit mass murder, and I'll get to that, but it is that Pomni, who rejected Ragatha, Pomni, who's been collapsing in on herself, then turns around and comforts Gummy Goo? Well, there is a reason for that. And it's not just because the plot demands it, but because she needs help getting out of this. She needs help to get the truck going, to propel themselves up from underneath the map and back to where they're supposed to go. So she needs Gummy Goo's help, but Gummy Goo is just catatonic, which then means that if you're going to get him moving, it's time to start talking things out. And immediately Pomni begins to realize, oh, he's just like me. This is where I am right now. And while she might not consciously realize it, she now takes on Ragatha's role. And she begins acting like Ragatha, trying to be a friend, reaching out to a poor lost soul and giving them meaning, giving them choice, and saying, hey, look, we can't change the nature of the universe that we find ourselves in, but we can find meaning. We can find love. We can have purposes and goals, and we can take what we do have power over and bring that into ourselves and try to do something positive with it. Don't just focus on the negative, focus on the positive. And in this moment, Pomni begins to get liberated from the same shackles of bondage and insanity that she has been burdened with since the pilot. And what is great is that we get then a kind of mirrored conversation between Ragatha and Kinger, where we realize that Ragatha was once just like Pomni, and that Kinger was once like Ragatha. And it's thanks to Kinger being that friend in need, is a friend indeed, helping Ragatha out in her worst moments and being patient and kind to her for who knows how long, to helping her become someone who could deal with the digital circus, to deal with this unending existential crisis that they find themselves in. And Ragatha has been trying to pay that forward to anyone else who comes into the circus. And for a moment, Pomni gets to do that for Gummy Goo. And it's a really, really heartwarming experience. And kind of to skip already to the end, and why this is so important is because when Pomni takes Gummy Goo back to the digital circus, and it seems like everything's going to be great, and Gummy Goo is so excited for this new world. He's like, wow, I could dig this. I could live here. And then Kane, with a snap of his fingers, poofs him away. He's gone. Pomni's like, what did any of it even matter? Well, that's followed up with Zubul bringing Kaufmo's stuff out so that way the group can hold a funeral for him. And even though Pomni doesn't know Kaufmo at all, she sees how all these other people trapped within the digital circus have a relationship with him. A relationship which we were kind of led to believe in the pilot episode was all kind of negative. But despite what this place does to people, these characters, these individuals have found intense meaning and some joy and sadness in what has happened to the other people. Meaning that for Kaufmo, he may be extracted, he may be down the abyss, but he's not forgotten. It's not that he's unloved. And that for these people, they are affected by everyone who comes and joins them in the digital circus. And as Pomni realizes that that's who she's with, this nightmare that has plagued her from the beginning to the middle and now to the end, as she revisits that nightmare, she is caught by the hands of Ragatha, Zubul, Gangle, and Kinger. At least 4 individuals will mourn her should she abstract. 4 individuals are there to help her no matter what. She does have meaning. Just as what she tried to encourage Gummy Goo with, these characters have once again encouraged her without even having to say a word. And now it makes sense. Does this free Pomni from the hell that she's in? No, but it unshackles her from the sense of just imminent demise and depression that was oppressing her throughout the first episode and throughout much of this episode as well. Meaning now that Pomni can more confidently move forward in whatever quest she has, potentially to finding the exit and getting out of the digital circus. There is hope. Now, to kind of rewind a little bit again, when Pomni and Gummy Goo fly out from the map and then come crashing down and smash Fudge as he rightfully deserves, it seems as though everything is going to be quite well wrapped up. They have a copy of the tanker that had taken all of the maple syrup, and so now they've got double the maple syrup. The bandits can take the maple syrup back on over to their town, to their people, and they can be happy, and they can bring the other tank of maple syrup back to the Candy Kingdom, and everyone will be happy there. Yay! The only one who isn't happy is Jax. Jax has been looking for violence, he's been looking for adventure, and he is enraged that he is not getting any of it. Now, this has caused a lot of people to just be like, whoa, Jax, slow your rolls. You're kind of a douchebag, you're kind of a horrible person, and yes, in many respects he is, and yet at the same time, it's fully understandable why Jax is the way that he is. This existential crisis that all of the main characters are going through has brought out different aspects of themselves. You have Ragatha, who's somewhat in denial while she's trying to find the most positive aspect of whatever. Gangle's always trying to cover up her actual feelings. Zubul is just tuned out and is just hoping that somehow this is all going to pass. Kinger has tried to deal with it and has been broken in the process. Pomni is just falling into depression and despair. Jax, on the other hand, in a situation that has robbed him of all power, he has decided that where he can, he is going to get his kicks and giggles, and he is going to vent his frustration out on others, and he is going to exercise his power. This is actually a character who, in D&D terms, we would call him a murder hobo. Jax is effectively a murder hobo, but he's a murder hobo who makes sense. He's not just out simply for the sake of being chaotic. In fact, actually, we see multiple instances throughout the pilot and through this episode where Jax shows a twinge, a hint, or even a very good, strong moment of morality, of conscience. He is scared of abstracting, and while he is totally fine with hurting other people, he's afraid of being alone. And also, he does not want to admit to their own mortality here within the circus, because that is to admit, at least to a certain point, I believe, defeat. That's why he doesn't want to be a part of Kaufmo's funeral. We see some regret, we see some sadness, we see anger. This is complex. Jax is a complex character who's trying to pass all of that off on just being a chaotic murder hobo. Now, he gets what he wants to get. He might have not have had all the violence against the bandits that he wanted, but he gets to unleash fudge on the kingdom.
Oh, hey, maybe I didn't leave the gate unlocked for nothing after all.
What? I thought he was dead. You still did that? Okay, wait. You did what now?
Well, love to help you again sometime. Bye!
However, none of that has actually brought him any fulfillment or happiness. Just like with Pomni, he's going to have to learn a much deeper lesson that will help him to start moving forward and not just be stuck in the situation that he is as an individual. And I believe that that's going to be some of the big messages moving forward through the Amazing Digital Circus. Because again, I actually did not expect Pomni to reach this point in her character progression so soon. But in a way, it makes sense, because now that Pomni has found some hope, she has found some meaning, and she's beginning to connect better with these characters way sooner than I expected. This means that there are now opportunities for her to help the others out, just as she believes that they are helping her, in order to move forward and confront the dangers and the realities of the Amazing Digital Circus, and to in some way come to terms with or overcome the existential crisis that they are all sharing. Now, that might sound a little too hopeful for a story like the Amazing Digital Circus, especially when we look at some of the stuff that Gooseworx has shared. However, I am still going to actually stick to that because, again, of what we got in this episode. At the heart of this episode was a very comforting, beautiful message of friendship, of understanding, of helping others out. And if that is the thing that's helped Pomni to already begin moving forward, then I expect that we're going to see that come again and again. Because while an existential crisis is fun to poke fun at, yeah, aren't we all just living in an existential crisis of our own making that we can never escape because of the dynamics of power on this planet? That all aside, there should be a message that gives you catharsis. Catharsis is when the audience and the characters are able to process a message from whatever they go through. Why are we here to suffer? Because if we're just here to suffer, why not just, well, end the game, end the story, as it were? But there is a message. There is meaning. That is what this episode is giving to us. And so throughout the rest of the Amazing Digital Circus, we're going to have to find that meaning for all of the other characters, and as they begin to progress in their own personal journeys and find that catharsis, find a message that helps them and helps us as the audience to deal with these overwhelming problems that we're all confronted with. That gives us the catharsis, that gives us the meaning, and that's actually what allows us to come back again and again, because you can only laugh for so long at the horrible things that are happening before you just begin to lose hope and it's no longer fun or entertaining. Progression for the characters is what kind of wins them over to us as the audience. And for us as the audience, it gives meaning to the story. It allows us to see some plot progression. It gives us things to actually think about, to hope for, to become invested in. And then when the culmination finally comes at the end of the season and we're able to see where all of these character arcs lead to and where all the lessons from episode to episode take us, that gives us the catharsis. And that allows us to say, that is why we went on this journey. Wow, I am so glad that I did this. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Amazing Digital Circus is really an excellent example in strong writing, of writing really great characters, in-depth characters, fun plot points, fun subplots, interesting things. There's just so much good stuff that's going on combined with fantastic animations, inviting colors, fantastic music, great humor. This show really has so many fantastic things going for it that it's one that I can very easily recommend to lots of people. But if you as a writer are currently looking at the Amazing Digital Circus and being like, wow, I wish I could do that, but how? How can I do it? The key is this. Focus on the characters. Focus on who Pomni is. Who is Ragatha? Who is Jax? Kinger, Gangle, Zubul, even Kane and Bubble. There's layers to all of these characters. They're not just their quirks. They're not just their surface level personality. There is history to them. We as the audience are only experiencing that layer by layer, turn of the page by turn of the page. It's not being thrown at us all at once. In fact, if it was thrown at us all at once, these characters would not be very interesting. What keeps them interesting is seeing them evolve and change, learning more about who they really are deep down as we go from episode to episode, and within those episodes, from moment to moment. The characters are slowly growing and progressing, and also we are learning more about them step by step. Your job as a writer is to create these complex characters, and then as you're writing your story, put those moments in, make that information relevant. And I will also tell you this, you're going to discover a lot more about your characters as you begin writing. You're going to be like, whoa, my character would do this. Let me put that on in there. Whoa, this is something I hadn't thought about before that would absolutely help my character to be who they are right now. I'm going to make that a part of their backstory. Or, oh, here's a little like or a dislike, a little quirk that they have, a little turn of their personality. These things are elements of your characters that you are going to discover as you write. So that's why it's so important to just start writing. Take the time to craft your characters, give them as much depth as you can for like a day or two, maybe even a week of planning. But then once you've done that, from like a day to a week's worth of planning, start writing. Start writing and start discovering who your characters are. They will surprise and amaze you. So, that is my breakdown, my analysis, and my writing advice, all thanks to the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. I'm so pumped and excited for the next episode. What will come out next? The Amazing Digital Circus Episode 3 or Murder Drones Episode 8? We shall just have to see. But in the meantime, as we're waiting, if you're looking for more reviews, analyses, writing advice, and the likes, please check out our other videos here on our channel. And if you'd like to support the work that we do, you can check out the books that we ourselves have published. Links for all of them are in the description below. And thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.